I would like to introduce Sarah Stevens. Sarah is a naturopath and founder of the Luxton Clinic in Armidale. She specialises in chronic disease, hormone and cancer support. Today we're going to be talking about the mind-gut connection. Welcome, Sarah.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Good to be here too. You can get a little bit closer to the microphone so everyone can hear. And we're a bit rushed today. We just got you up here,
That's
so I hope
okay.
you're all calm.
I am. I'm ready to go.
So tell me, why is the mind-gut connection important? What is it?
Basically, your gut is where you produce many of your hormones and your brain chemicals. So if your gut is out, then you're more susceptible to anxiety and depression and mood disorders. Mm-hmm. So in our clinic in particular, in naturopathy, we focus on repairing the gut and making sure that it's functioning well for mood disorders in particular. And lots of different things can affect the mind-gut connection.
So why does the gut make you more susceptible to mood disorders?
Well, when we have a good functioning gut, we are little bacteria, and we've got over 40,000 bacterial strains in our gut, which sounds a little bit scary. But all these little bacteria basically produce nutrients, and they also produce brain chemicals. So you might have heard of something called serotonin.
Yeah.
And 95% of serotonin is produced by these little bacteria. And if you have an imbalance in the gut bacteria, you obviously produce less of this, and that can lead to things like anxiety and depression.
Wow. So people don't realise, do they?
No, they don't.
Yeah. And so what kind of other health issues arise from poor digestion?
You can develop lots of different health issues. In the gut in particular, things like irritable bowel syndrome, to food intolerances and things like that. And lots of those can then lead to having anxiety and depression and mood disorders as well. So is there anything that we can do to test these sort of imbalances in the body? Yeah, absolutely. So as a naturopath, we look at the gut function and we go through diet and a case history to determine how their gut's functioning. Do they have bloating? Do they suffer from diarrhea or constipation? And then we can also do some tests to further examine the gut. So food intolerance testing, which is a simple blood test, or actually testing the stool and sending that away to the lab to see how much bacteria we have, which is not a nice thing to do, but it's a good way of determining how much bacteria we have and if we've got inflammation. Or one causing factor are parasites.
Yeah.
And a lot of people go to Bali and get Bali belly, and they come back and they have lots of gut issues post coming back from somewhere like Bali or Asia, and then they might develop anxiety from that. And
okay, so there's a link with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And then they come to see us because of anxiety, and we link it back to that parasite that they got when they were in Bali. Wow.
So people really need to pay attention to their digestion, don't they? And
definitely.
What's going on. So what are some of the different symptoms that would tell someone that their digestion's out of whack?
Yeah, so definitely bloating, particularly after food, changes in bowel function, so diarrhea or constipation, or having both of those, having cramping and pain in the stomach, and that feeling that we get when we're a bit nervous, probably a little bit what I was feeling before that. Butterflies in the stomach can sometimes also relate to our imbalance in bacteria in the gut as well. So that anxiety that people get can be related to gut function.
Is that especially when they've got anxiety for no reason?
Exactly, yeah. So if someone is experiencing anxiety and we can't link it to anything in their lifestyle or from having high stress, then we definitely look at the gut.
Okay, so, I mean, obviously people, if they've got these kind of issues, they really need to see a professional like yourself so they can, work it out what to do. But to give some people some sort of indication, if they're having some sort of problems with digestion, what can they do? What's the process?
There's lots of things they can do. One thing I would suggest to everybody is that you clean up your diet. So living a very clean, non-processed diet, in particular cutting out things like gluten. And gluten can have a huge effect on the gut, and it changes the gut bacterial balance just by having processed things like highly processed breads, biscuits, cakes, those sorts of things.
And is that just the processed gluten, as in white bread and things, or can people have the whole grain variety?
Whole grain is obviously definitely better, but if you're having gut symptoms, particularly quite severe ones, or you're suffering from anxiety, etc., I would say completely eliminate gluten. There's many studies to show that when you take gluten out of a diet, say with someone with schizophrenia, their symptoms improve significantly. And it's quite interesting how dramatic that effect can be. And I've seen in clinic with people who have quite severe anxiety, you change their diet by eliminating something like that, and they can improve, dramatically.
I've got a question.
Yeah.
So could somebody have been okay with gluten for many years and then develop symptoms and now they're intolerant to gluten?
Absolutely. So obviously a true gluten intolerance is celiac, and that needs to be diagnosed through blood tests. But you can have milder gluten intolerance that develops because the bacterial balance is out, or you have inflammation in the gut. And this is the same with fructose intolerance as well, or fructose malabsorption. A lot of people develop that because they've got inflammation and imbalance in the gut.
And so what else can people do aside from cleaning up their diet?
Yeah, so including lots of herbs and spices that help to repair the gut. Things like turmeric is brilliant. It helps to repair the lining of the gut and also decreases inflammation. Ginger is brilliant. It's great for stimulating digestion and improving bloating and wind. And then obviously including some good probiotics in the diet as well. So that's the good bacteria that we need for our gut to function properly. And then foods that help to improve that bacterial balance, and they're called prebiotics. So things like fermented foods, sauerkraut, fermented vegetables, miso soup, things like that. Yeah.
So these are actually some good suggestions that people can do at home without. And is there any other effect? I know that emotions on the other scale have an effect on your digestion?
Absolutely. It can go the other way as well. So if we have a lot of stress in our lives and a lot of environmental stress as well, that can cause issues with our gut. So we don't necessarily have to have a gut issue to start with. So if someone is under persistent chronic stress, or they do have high anxiety, it can play with their digestion. So we always recommend that mind-body work, like meditation, deep breathing, going and seeing a psychologist or a counsellor to help as well is always really useful, and looking at their lifestyle balance. We live in very fast-paced life at the moment, so do they need to take some time out, have some me time, get a massage, do things that they enjoy, or just have a holiday, take a break?
So basically what the take-home message is that there's lots of things we can do for our digestion. So whether it's we need to clean the diet up and take the things out that could be causing us problems, or fix our life up in terms of the stress and things like that. And there are some beautiful nutrients at naturopaths, and we can include in our diets as well.
Definitely. I think the message would be to take out as many processed foods as possible, include lots of herbs and spices, and maybe include a probiotic as well, good bacteria.
No, that's some really great advice. Thank you so much, Sarah.
Worries. Thank you for having me.
If people want to find out more about yourself and your clinic in Armidale, where can they look?
We have a website, luxtonclinic.com.au, or they can Google me, Sarah Stevens Naturopath, and I should come up as well.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Sarah.
No worries. Thank you.